So it's visa season and a lot of you are gonna get your visa approved hopefully, but unfortunately a lot of you might also get your visa refused. What do you do in that case? Obviously that's an outcome that no one wishes for, but it does happen to a lot of students. And in today's video, I will cover exactly what are the steps that you should take when you receive a study permit refusal when you're planning on studying in Canada. And that's exactly what I'm going to cover today, is that if you ever apply for your study permit application for Canada and if you get refused, what do you do? What's happening, everybody? My name is Z and I make helpful videos for students just like you who want to study abroad. I have received the best immigrant certificate in Canada. I got my citizenship and kind of gave it away because I just felt I didn't need that. Jokes aside, I'm really stoked for you because in this video, you will get to finally learn what are the exact steps that you can take if you ever get your study permit refused, or if you know someone whose study permit got refused, just send them this video so they can benefit from it. Number one, don't panic. Look, I understand when you receive a study permit refusal, it feels like the entire weight of the world is on your shoulders, and it's totally understandable. Nobody in the entire world can ever even fathom what's that feeling like to have a study permit refusal and feel like all your dreams have been crushed. But let me tell you this, there is hope. So don't panic, because obviously you panicking or you stressing or being sad about it doesn't benefit anyone, doesn't move you forward. So the best thing to do when you receive a study permit refusal is to stay calm, because there's going to be so many comments, external comments made from your family members and things people might say, judgmental comments they might throw at you. That's going to kind of add to your stress that's already there. Obviously, you're gonna be anxious. Obviously, you're gonna be sad. Embrace it, take it, but don't overreact to it, because when the external ones come in, you won't be able to handle it anymore. And the reason I'm asking you not to panic is because there's nothing you can really do at that exact time. I'm gonna cover what you can do, obviously, in the second step, but just when you receive a refusal, don't go crazy thinking, what went wrong? What went wrong? Because you just won't be able to find out why until you hear what I share in the second step. Number two, don't trust the facts. Guys, the biggest lie IRCC ever tells you is the refusal note they actually send you when they refuse your application. Anything that's mentioned in that letter is complete crap. It's so generic and it doesn't have any correlation to your study permit application. Even if it says that maybe you have financial problems, maybe you have education problems, or maybe you don't have ties to your home country, all of that is a lie. It doesn't give you anything related to why your application actually got refused. I know you might be thinking, what? Yeah, that's the thing. Now, before I tell you what you can actually look at that totally explains why your visa got refused, let me tell you the common reasons why a study permit application often gets refused. The very first thing that could lead to a visa refusal is your grades. If your grades are below 70%, let's say in your grade 12 or grade 10, or maybe you're undergraduate, and if it's an overall score that you're kind of below 70% with your CGPA, then the Canadian visa officer can actually reject your application under the grounds that you may not be able to cope with studies, and they think you're not serious about your studies in Canada, and they're going to refuse your application. And they still might say that because you haven't shown ties to your home country, so it doesn't have any correlation. So that's the first fact. Number two, you could also get refused if you don't have enough funds. There are certain recommendations for your income and for the funds that you need to show for the type of studies that you're going for. If you don't meet that, obviously your visa is going to get refused. Number three, if there are any large transactions on your file. So let's say you're showing the right amount of money, but you just deposited. Maybe you didn't deposit something, maybe your FDR just got matured, but you didn't show them the previous account that kind of led to that maturity of the account, which kind of caused that recent deposit. So if that happens, obviously the visa officer, if they don't see an explanation for that, they're going to refuse your application. Also, if you don't provide certain documents like your IELTS certificate, your police clearance, your tuition fee deposit receipt, the visa officer will refuse your application. They won't even mention that on your refusal letter. letter. And lastly, if you have any medical problems, or let's say your biometrics didn't go in, and also sometimes when you have education gaps that you didn't explain, or maybe you're kind of going for a double master's or the same program, if you don't explain those things properly, yes, your visa is gonna get refused. Now we're gonna explore what you should actually do when you receive your refusal letter. Step 3, don't rush. Here's the thing that most students do. Anytime they get a refusal letter, they start going back into their application and trying to find loopholes. Guys, look, the objective of your application when you initially submitted it, I'm sure you submitted it with no gaps. So don't try to make up reasons thinking why your visa got refused, and don't try to go to others and get their opinions. Guys, nobody helped you with your application in the first place, and they're not gonna help you now. So just stay by yourself, and your agent, if you used an agency to help you, they're gonna be your best friend, hopefully, given that they did try their best to submit your application in the best way. So it's important that you did work with a good agent in the first place. You cannot really point the finger at the agent because I'm sure the agent did their best to submit your application. So what can you really do? The very first thing that you have to figure out is you gotta defer your semester because you don't have time. So many students try to say, oh, you know what? It's because of financial ties, it's because of my SOP. Guys, it has nothing to do with your financial ties and your SOP and ties to your home country. You need to know the real facts because again, the refusal letter doesn't tell you anything as to why your visa got refused. So without completely knowing why your visa got refused, don't reapply because then you're just gonna get rejected again. This is where so many bad agencies force the students to just submit again quickly, or the students force the agents to submit again quickly. Don't do this. Just defer your semester. A 6 months education gap is not gonna get your visa rejected again. It doesn't bother. It doesn't impact your life in any way. Just defer your semester, and the next thing you're gonna do is what's called apply for a GCMS note. This is basically the explanation, the real notes that the visa officer wrote on your application when they were refusing your application, because they kind of have to answer to the government as to why they refuse your application. They need those notes. So it's like a paragraph long explanation as to what made you ineligible to study in Canada. And that has no correlation to the refusal letter. It's completely different. If you didn't submit your IELTS, if you didn't submit your tuition fee deposit receipt, it's going to be mentioned in the GCMS notes, but it's not going to be mentioned in the refusal letter notes. So when your application gets refused and you get that refusal letter, the very first thing that you need to do is apply for the GCMS notes right away. Because when you do that, it does take a month or two for the GCMS notes to come in. So obviously, I don't suggest that you submit your application within that time frame. So just wait for it, defer your semester. Once the notes come in, then you'll be able to exactly know why your visa got refused, and then you're going to be able to resubmit your application in an informed way. Now you might be wondering, see, how do I apply for the GCMS notes? Here's the thing, guys. Only Canadian organizations or Canadian people, citizens or permanent residents, can apply for GCMS notes. So if you need help with that, you can obviously reach out to my team. Link is in the comments. Simply sign up in that form. We'll be able to help you get the notes. And because my company is a Canadian company, because I'm a permanent resident of Canada, we can help you with this. One thing I want to add here is a lot of students do end up working with really bad agents who don't submit the application properly. So if you can obviously assess your files and see there was a gap, maybe they didn't provide your tax certificates, maybe they didn't provide the right documents and organize it in a right way. Obviously, in those cases, you don't need to get the notes and just reapply without deferring your semester. But that's very risky still, because you still don't know what you're aiming for. Now that you know what's the exact thing to do, obviously, number 4, get help. Look, so many of you try to do your application by yourself and you think you're gonna nail it without trying to pay an agent. Guys, come on. You're spending $40,000 to $50,000 if you're going for a 2-year program in Canada. Can you not afford to pay a good agent, a good service provider, maybe $700, maybe $800? Wouldn't that save you all that time, the stress, the mistakes that you might be making? This is your first time doing this. A good agent has done it 1,000 times, over 100 times. They know all the angles. They know all the angles of explanation. They know how to write good SOPs. Get a good agent. So maybe if your first agent wasn't able to help you, that means they obviously lacked expertise. So the second time, don't use the same agent to reapply. Just switch, go find yourself a better agent, vet them. What are their success stories? What do they know about the application? See how much knowledge they have around the different angles of refusal and how to explain it correctly. Obviously, I have a company which is Connected Education where we help students with their admissions, visa, and career development overseas, but that doesn't mean you should absolutely come to me. You should obviously first vet my company and see whether we are the right people to help you. So come by our office anytime or sign up in the form below. Ask critical questions, ask our team hard questions and see how we answer them. Do we just give you generic answers or do we give you personalized, customized, accurate, specific, and credible answers? Just because an agency is giving you free services doesn't mean you're gonna get your visa. Come on, think about it. Nothing good comes with free. That being said, if you're ever gonna go through a situation of a refusal, or maybe you know someone who's going through a refusal phase, make sure to pass this video to them so that they can benefit and receive some help at least. I hope this video added some value to your journey as an international student. If you want to see more of this, make sure to follow my Facebook page, subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram @Syed_Zihad, and I hope to see you in the next video. Ciao.